similar to what you just said, there's 3 parcels pretty much from Demler's-ish downhill yet, where the side of the road is probably 6 inches higher than the road at this point. So it creates a funnel, runs down the shoulder of the road, the mailman drives down the shoulder of the road because apparently that right side of the car doesn't go on the pavement anymore, it only goes on the gravel shoulder. Washes that part of it out, pushes it further out, it washes deeper, it pushes out, we add more gravel, the next year it does the same thing, and now there's a 6-inch tall grass berm on the side of it. At the bottom of the hill where the culvert inlet is, there's also a pile of gravel because it's carved out the shoulder of the road and it's washed down the hill and it's found below its point. But culvert, drainage, and ditch maintenance, this is something that in big picture things, we've got even 4-year-old roads where the shoulders are getting pushed out from people riding on the shoulder of the road and not on that nice shiny flat part. That we're going to have to address. In the grand scheme of the universe, if a road surface lasts 30 years, hopefully your ditch work would too. There's a lot of roads that haven't been paved in 30 years. So we're at a point now of kind of that diminishing return where we're not going to get there in the next 2 years to repave Marsh and South Shore Drive and Little Prairie Road where you're going to have shoulder work incorporated with resurfacing the road. It's just flat out going to be shoulder work. Shoulder meaning gravel, shoulder meaning reclaimed asphalt, shoulder meaning grading down turf or gravel or whatever else has been piled up there for 30 years. You get the water to flow off the edge of the road because that's the whole point. That's why roads have crowns in them. And hopefully they go off the edge of the road, saves the pavement, yada yada, whatever.
Well, can that culvert on South Shore you're talking about be done in conjunction with what we're doing with South Shore Drive this year?
No, so the culvert on South Shore Drive is an individual little curiosity of the world because once it crosses South Shore Drive, it then goes under the driveway on the lakeshore side. It runs about 35 feet towards the access parcel that we have, runs downhill towards the lake, and there is a natural hill in that access point, and it literally currently would run around the outside of that hill towards the house that's right next door that looks like it's about this high along the grade. So
we need to take care of that right away and not wait.
we need to clean out the culvert to get water at least heading towards where it is. There's an open space where 90% of the rain is probably not going to have a problem because it's all sand and gravel around here, but this whole drainage thing, especially around the lake, is not a ticking time bomb, but it's something that is going to have to be addressed because there's a lot of yard culverts that collect driveways, and then there's a 6-inch PVC pipe in it that goes somewhere towards the lake. No idea where it goes, but all of these little anomalous drainage issues around the lake, or even Marsh Road was one of them, where the side of Marsh Road is 6 inches higher in spots, various spots, all the way down along it, where the water runs along the edge of the road.
So the one on South Shore is part of the 4 hours for $180 an hour?
Correct. To clean it out and at least get water to go in a direction, and that's why.
Make a motion, we approve.
Well, Josh, make the exact motion.
So, above and beyond that, we also need to get Little Prairie Road is one of them. Marsh Road in front of Ken's house, Ken Marsh's house is another spot. I've driven up and down it. You probably have a whole bunch of times not really paid attention how much limestone is washed out the end of his driveway out in the middle of Marsh Road. And it's again an issue with the side of the road. Whether that's something we work directly with Northwest and get a kind of spot going off, here's this road, here's this road, here's this road, and make a choice on what we want to do. Big ticket is that we had a general highway maintenance line item for $5,000 for the year of 2025. Okay, we're at 38% of the budget, more or less, at this point. The rest of the something that we're gonna have to deal with, and I can guarantee that it's gonna cost more than $2,000 to re-shoulder Little Prairie Road, part of Marsh Road, part of Donald Lane, part of South Shore Drive. It just is what it is. So kind of as a forewarning, that to me the important part would be get the culverts cleaned out, get the water moving, keep working on these shoulder issues, but quite frankly, they're everywhere, and I understand that's part of what we do. You're not gonna re-shoulder every inch of every 37 miles that we have every single year. It's not my point. We need to start looking long-term at doing maintenance to the sides of roads. That
Obviously.
is gonna continue more or less just to be a nagging issue, if nothing else, a nagging issue. So, regarding the culvert work, I would make a motion to authorize 4 hours worth of work with the village for $180 an hour to clean out the culverts on Pine Drive, Blue Spring Lake Drive, North Blue Spring Lake Drive, and South Shore Drive.
Second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made, stated by Supervisor Gasky. And a second, is there any further discussion?
Yeah, so that's a little bit less than $800, $720. Do we want to, is that a firm quote for him? Or do we want to make it a maximum of something in case they come back and say, do we want to phrase it at just $720 or?
4 hours in my mind is enough to do all 4 of those. It's probably the one on Blue Spring Lake Drive, or North Blue Spring Lake Drive is probably gonna take 20 minutes to a half an hour. One on Pine Drive, not entirely sure, because one of the culverts not collapsed, has been run over. And the one on South Shore Drive is probably gonna be the most time intensive piece of it, so.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Question. So, you said that a lot of these culverts have a lot of sludge, sand, shit in them. When you're buying,
I didn't say that.
well, I mean, I said. But, you know, when you build a house, they have these silt fences, so that, can't you put something like that at the end? So not all that, the water can go in? I don't know a lot about this culvert, but that wouldn't work.
You create a pond behind it.
Okay.
Michelle. Let's check. Are you done, or are you gonna talk to him? Oh, you did?
I do have a question,
She's official.
something that you talked about in Kelly Lane.
What's that?
Louder.
Kelly Lane?
Oh,
Kelly.
Kelly.
Calum Lane.
It's by the campground there on Island.
What about it?
You gotta complain about it, about the holes in the road. Did you discuss that when I listened or something, or?
No, we didn't
Okay.
discuss.
I did go out and look at it, and at the intersection, we did build some potholes at the intersection, but it's useless to go down the lane. That's gonna need 1 to maybe 2 loads of gravel and grading there. And it's bad. So, and I don't know if you wanna use regrind, we used 3/4 TV, I think 2 or 3 years ago at the other end, and that's still doing fine. But this is like the new one where there's some blacktop there, and then it goes to the 3/4. You might wanna consider grinding for that, I don't know.
So I was out there 2 years, about like 3 weeks after the 23 election, and that grass area between the edge of the road and the front of their house was a pond. My
Yeah.
concern is that if we make that road taller to put more gravel down, is that it's gonna get worse, because the only place that it actually drained out was at the end, that'd be the north end, and it ran out, I don't know if it's a barn or a garage at the end of the road down
There's a
there,
barn down there.
that it ran out that direction, so again, a Band-Aid patch, throw gravel on it, sure, but Kellen Lane, Pine Lane, same, Dowling Lake,
Calum Lane is ours.
yeah. It's got one house at the end of it.
I think there's actually 2 there, and that's where the holes are, right in front of the street first house.
Well, do we want to load in there? Or no?
I just thought I'd mention, it's up to you guys to do that.
holes there.
So we still have funding available in patching. As far as patching goes versus rebuilding a road, not rebuilding, but
Right.
I think we can do patching on that. And not,
Now it's got holes there.
at least at the moment, not without looking at it deeper.
He's gonna have to look at it deeper. It says patching.
If you wanna just patch those holes and get, if you just got one little gravel and grade it up, and skid steer it down, just a matter of a couple hours. It's a cheap fix and make them happy, not, you know, I mean, they're pretty big holes. And I have seen the lake that appears after the rain. And it's just all flat there, there's no two ways about it. You don't have to build a new road, but.
You wanna do it or what?
I wanna go out and look at it again, quite honestly, I.
You two communicate, okay?
We can do it.
So, we skipped 7. And we're done with 6 and 8.
We didn't vote.
6 and 8.
We have a motion and a second on that.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 7, discussion and possible direction regarding condition of airport road. Well, that was my direction, put that on there. Because I've had pilots complaining about the road. Well, when I went to the school, you know, I happened to talk to the guy that, not saying him, but the fellow that used to take care of our airport. And I had said it was a good. I said, all the taxi lanes, taxiway, and the road are shot. And now I've had in the last last week, 2-3 pilots complain about this road. First question I got is, how much of this road from the stop sign is a road? Last I knew, I thought it went up to the 0, I see that. But it went up to the flying club, and then it was private.
This whole road out here is a private road.
It's owned by the public, it is not. So when I say road, I mean a platted road or a road with a use easement on it. Platted road would be Parkview Circle. Hooper Road would be a road that has road use easement on it. This is a parcel.
So this is up to the airport.
Well, I mean, at some level, it's up to the town and or airport on what it is, but like Plainview Drive across the grass is a platted road. That's a road. This, I know there's been arguments about, is it public, is it not? That's not my point. I'm saying a platted road where we get highway aid for it. This is not one of those. So if you wanna consider up to the edge of the blacktop over here, the driveway to the town hall, and everything beyond that, the driveway to the airport, it is what it is.
Is it our road, the towns, or is it villages?
No, it's on our parcel. It's a big driveway.
Well, I will tell you that he was talking $1.5 million to do the whole airport. That's real.
To
The guy from the,
repave it?
the guy from the BOA.
Was there any of those other things that you said were available, can that be used to do the road?
That's pretty minuscule, 34,000 compared to $1.5 million.
Well, they said that it's 7 million available.
Well, that's spread out across the whole.
Right, I get that, but is it worth putting in?
Well, that's a review that airport commissions.
Right, exactly,
We'll talk about it.
I guess my question would be is where does the driveway or taxi lane stand in airport layout plan? Because they have to have a, my
It's
understanding.
continual, just like, it's one thing I did look at. It's a continual 5-year plan. 1 year goes by, there's gonna be something added on again.
Right.
And it's no different than our 5-year plan. We're getting these grants. Gotta keep adding to it every year, adding to it, so.
My guess is gonna be 2016 that they microchip seal. microsurface and everything that's here. That's my guess, but.
Okay, well, there's a little discussion, we're all done?
I would ask you specifically to bring that up to the airport.
Number 9, discussion regarding borrowing options for 2025 road work and possible action regarding St. Louis on this one.
Yeah. So, again, for some clarification, 2024, there's a line of credit authorized. We've drawn $242,000 of that amount as of year end 2024. July, there's a payment coming up where we owe $150,000 plus the interest. 165,000 is what, 165,549 for this year is what is going to come due. On top of that, we've got the road work that was approved last year and the road work that the county will do this year. The amount, this is quantity pending because we did it on a quantity-based bid. So if they don't do X amount of square yards, then the price gets smaller, just as a general placeholder. What they did not complete in 2024 is $259,900. We got news from the county that their HMA prices came back lower, as well as their milling costs came back lower. So we may see a savings, but the budget amount for Tamarack Road was $220,000. So we've got options moving forward to pay for either one and or both of those. We had talked during budget season specifically about Tamarack, because it's going to be a pavement replacement project rather than maintenance. It's potentially extending, borrowing out more so for the lifespan of the road, rather than just doing a 4-year payback like what we had set up in the line of credit. So with the payment coming due in July, I'm anticipating that we're going to see some of, if not all of, the I should say I'm hoping that we're going to see some of, if not all of, farmers' invoice come due in June. So $259,000. The county is indicating later this summer / early fall, schedule dependent on paving projects. We've got more of a window essentially to deal with that amount when that invoice comes in. But playing the game, economy versus not, we had talked at budget time whether or not we were going to take another draw on the line of credit after the end of 24 or look for something different. So I wanted to bring that conversation up ahead of whether or not we had an invoice sitting in front of us the same meeting. Interest rates are coming down, but they have also gone up after we did the line of credit.
Yeah, no, it's
So
we know where they're at right now.
I don't, and at the same point, I wasn't gonna play 35 questions with the bank on structures or any of the rest of this, so
Excuse me, what is the interest we're paying now?
6.
So, I need to call up there tomorrow and find out what they're doing? Is that what you're asking?
Well, just pick a number, if interest rates have dropped to 5, then we would probably want to cancel the current and redo it at 5 instead of 6, right? Like they're able to, versus if they've gone up to 7 and not come back lower, then it's still a good deal to what we have. So we just have to see what the numbers are.
I will check tomorrow.
So here's my thought process, and you guys can add in or delete. We've got 3 years left on the line of credit, right? And we know that we've got 250, well, let's just use it on 260,000 per quarter. Yeah. So if we can get a loan for 3 years or less, for us not to draw from where we are. If it's, depending on how they wanna play their game, you have to extend it out to 4 years or 5 years to get 5%, whatever, however, whatever. Probably not advantageous for us. Above and beyond that is not just one chunk, but again, are we gonna break Tamarack and the pavement replacement into literally a third one? Line of credit, more advantageous short term for maintenance, and potentially a longer term on the pavement replacement part. I ran a couple of just super philosophical things, is that if we did 10 years at 6%, it'd be roughly $29,000 a year of debt service. And if we did it at 5 years, it would be $51,000 a year of debt service. Well, we would save 38 grand over the overall term in interest, correct?
And that was borrowing how much again?
220 grand.
Where are
So, to me, obviously the savings speaks to itself. The other thing that we can play between now and decision time would be, what's the additional 20 grand a year look like in our budget? A la the mill rate, is it 3 cents per 100,000, is it 30 cents per 100,000? Those numbers are not gonna come out that way, but, we can see what kind of a delta that adds to an affordability complex, not just which one's the cheapest way to do it. 10 years, I think, is as far as I would go out on pavement replacement, primarily because at year 10, you're starting to look at doing maintenance, crack filling, chip sealing, whatever it might end up being. It would, in my mind, make sense that we're done paying for the thing by the time we have to start putting more money back into the thing. Little Prairie Road is 4 years, not quite 4 years old, but let's just say 4 years old. It doesn't have to be crack filled yet, but 2 years from now, probably.
One thing I will say that I learned in some of these classes I go to, in the last 5 years, the cost for roads, chip sealing, whatever it is, pulverizing, paving, 35% across the state of Wisconsin. Some increase, and some jurisdictions it's 50%. That's how much it's gone up in the last 5 years. And it's really not gonna get any cheaper.
Where do we stand, and I know that won't help us for 25, but every year we have to be looking at where do we stand on grants, potential grants available to us, which is anything about those?
That will be
For
coming into
26 or
play.
27,
We
or
already,
existing ones that we've already applied for.
that's gonna be coming into play here in November, I think, we're gonna turn in. But I've instructed our contact from Jewel, which we already approved using them, beginning to hold you June 1st over there to start going through stuff. So we're right on it, and however, maybe we wanna try and apply for it.
We have any current ones we've applied for, and we're
Well,
waiting.
there's nothing going on.
We've got the Elbrook match, which
Well, yeah, for Tamarack.
it's a reimbursement, it's 31 something, $31,000. Once we pay for the project, then we get reimbursed by them after that.
But the other ones we applied for last year aren't coming up for, we haven't heard anything on those.
No, and I will tell you, there's 50 million that the governor wants of the ARIP again, but the Towns Association is trying to get 150 back, or at least 150 million. But having said that, and listening to these people, in 2 years, the way things are right now, there's going to be about a $1 billion deficit in the state's budget. Right now, they are 2 to 3 million or billion ahead. But in 2 to 3 years, the way they schooled us, we're going to be in the hole about $1 billion.
That's not good.
Yes,
Well,
well, let's not.
I'm just letting you know what, they're saying, what we're hearing. And Dan can tell you that, we had, at this last district meeting, talked about roads, it's part of this, that the townships have about had it with, going through this grant process, just split it up and give it to the townships, however the fair way of doing it would be. They were right after the politicians there, weren't they? Yeah.
It was nice to see politicians getting something handed to them for a change.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. But it was a common thing. I mean, none of that, I believe it was none of the ARIP money came to Jefferson County last year. 0. And needless to say that people in the audience were not happy about the lack of funding, the process for the funding, the fact that they went through and rated all the roads through that website, and that's apparently not being used in part of the evaluation. So whether the politicians actually do anything is a whole other thing, but they heard all of the same concerns that we guys are voicing.
Okay.
The action here, or just waiting for them to get with the bank and get back to us?
Do you want formal requests or requests, or if you know?
Sure, if you're gonna
So, I would suggest that we look at,
take notes on this, Michelle.
please, she is, 3 years or less, for less than 6%, for the 24 equivalent borrowing, right? And then for Tamarack to look at 10 years and 5 years for payback term, and potentially then split what we've done so far with what is coming in June, July versus the end of the summer.
220,000.
Correct. 220,000 for the 5 or 10 year, and 260 for the 3 years or less.
So is this all of what you're talking about? Whether it's using the current line of credit or a revised one at a lower interest rate, all of what you're talking about is within the $600,000 line of credit we have. It's not anything in addition to that.
Well, except for the Tamarack.
Yes, the net of Tamarack would be above and beyond that, which had been factored into
That's all fact.
all the budget related.
And that's not 25, right? Because I thought the line of credit would, if we used it all, would cover 25. And Tamarack would be beyond
If we
26
did-
or 27.
But if we did nothing else than what we've done so far, Tamarack Road's being done and farmer projects, correct? If we don't do anything else, the borrowing that money, and what we did at the budget time, covers that. We have it covered, but we're trying to cheap it up.
Because you just said Tamarack was important.
It will be, there's like 46, I'm trying to find, I think it's like 46 grand. That, to do all of it, the first debt payment would come up in 26, it's not debt payment 25, that's what you're asking. Tamarack would be
Right.
on top of that, which is why I'm saying potentially, rather than grouping it together and having it paid off in 3, really 2 years, for the type of project, as long as it's spread out.
So all you're asking is for further information to look into this? We're not approving any additional.
Right.
I'm fine with gathering information.
So, that's all we're doing, we don't have an action. We good? Next, go ahead.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.